Let's see. Okay. I'm live here, but I need to share my screen. Share screen. Yes. Entire screen or window. Let's do Chrome tab. Okay. Let's do stats. Okay, I'll do stats. Go to share. Okay. Let me see. Okay, hopefully this works. Oh my. So I hope it works. This is weird. Sharing YouTube stream. Okay. So basically, I wanted to what's well, first of all, my name is Laquan Williams, and this is a live stream. Obviously, I wanted to talk about what happened, unfortunately, with the Philadelphia 76ers as they just lost in the playoffs to the Atlanta Hawks. They were eliminated in the second round, which is I believe the conference semifinals, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, and the third round would be the conference semi. The third round would be the finals, obviously. So basically, what happened is they unfortunately decided to, well, not unfortunately, they unfortunately decided to obviously make a lot of bad plays, obviously, on period throughout the whole entire series. They had a lot of turnovers that unfortunately hurt them, and because of this, they obviously lost. So that hurt them obviously very bad. So because of this, obviously they're out, they're eliminated. And now, obviously, as we can see, the 76ers have a lot of questions that they're going to have to obviously deal with in the off season. And because of this, I see a lot of talks about what type of trades are going to need to happen. Should obviously Doc Rivers be fired? Another question that people are talking about is what are they going to do about Ben Simmons? Should Ben Simmons be let go of the team and and should they just trade him? And obviously let somebody else buy his contract off, obviously. So because of this, what we're seeing is that obviously this is obviously a bit of an issue, obviously, as far as overall productivity, and obviously, of course, what we can see with obviously, him being a player. He's in his fourth year of his career. He's obviously not doing very well as far as free throws go. Something that obviously he obviously has not worked on, and because of this, unfortunately, the fans are questioning why is he getting paid all this money? Should he be getting paid all this money? And obviously, what's going on? And so basically, what I've noticed is that I don't know if I know I haven't heard anybody say this, but basically, what Ben Simmons is going through and what he's dealing with is actually mirrored to unfortunately, Blake Griffin. Something that I saw Blake Griffin obviously deal with throughout his whole entire career. And what I mean by that is that he's dealing with the exact same thing Blake Griffin's dealing with. And what that means is that he's obviously going through a tough spot in his career. He just started. So what I noticed about Ben Simmons is he's basically just like Blake Griffin throughout his early on career. And Blake Griffin's early career, he was a jump shooter. He was not a great free throw shooter at all. He was getting to the basket with obviously in the paint with layups and with dunks and lobs with the help of obviously Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan, who was obviously the center on the team with him throughout his whole entire experience there. I believe DeAndre Jordan was probably traded first, or if not Chris Paul, I can't remember. Paul was probably traded first before DeAndre Jordan, and Blake Griffin and him were alone. That actually makes sense. Yeah, I believe Chris Paul was traded first before the big three, before them two, and obviously the big three. And because of this, unfortunately, stuck on the Clippers with DeAndre Jordan, and that's how they kind of both ended up. I'm assuming, and in Brooklyn, obviously, and that's how they both ended up in the Brooklyn Nets, being on the Brooklyn Nets and playing on that team. So that's basically what's going on. It seems as though Ben Simmons is obviously dealing with that same issue. He's not a jump shooter. He's not a great free throw shooter, and he's not a great jump shooter or decent. So because of this, unfortunately, he's having people obviously attack him, and because of this, obviously, he's having lots of teammates and not just teammates, lots of other teams attack him. So because of this, obviously, he's getting attacked. They're doing the hack of Simmons, which is what they do, which was implemented years ago against Shaquille O'Neal, which was obviously implemented by teams like the San Antonio Spurs or Greg Popovich and other teams that were playing obviously the Lakers, Los Angeles Lakers with Kobe Bryant, which was, since we can't stop Shaq from obviously dunking or getting easy layups in the paint, we're going to have to make sure we foul him and make it difficult for him. But even though that's the case, Shaq's overall career percentage as a free throw shooter was about 50%, if I'm not mistaken. So he was okay. He was obviously okay average, but his points obviously and his rebounds and blocks, which is what it made him obviously much more of a defensive and offensive threat down low in the post, because he was so big. Obviously, other people obviously who were smaller than him had difficult times dealing with him, minus players like Yao Ming and Dikembe Mutombo and other big players that obviously could give Shaq obviously issues if they are taller than him a little bit and have longer arms, obviously. But this is what obviously Ben Simmons has been dealing with. So the reason why I say Blake Griffin and Ben Simmons' careers mirror match each other is because this is exactly what they're going through. What they which is what we see right now. Ben Simmons is in the fourth year of his career. He's a young player. He's getting easy dunks, easy layups because he's so big and he's so fast. The same with Blake Griffin, but obviously the difference is in height and weight. Blake Griffin is shorter and weighs less than obviously Ben Simmons, who is taller and has longer arms. He's obviously I would say a little bit more bigger version of Kevin Durant when as far as size goes, and obviously weight. As far as height, I think he's an inch taller than Kevin Durant. Actually, I think he's right about the same size at 6'11". I think Kevin Durant's 6'10", but he's about a couple inches, an inch or a couple centimeters taller than him. But he obviously weighs more because he's a little bit bigger. As far as Ben Simmons, something that obviously we can see with this obviously whole entire ordeal. So because of this, Ben Simmons obviously is dealing with the fact that people are going to continue to foul him. People are going to continue to attack him. And because of this, he's going to obviously have to deal with the fact that he has to make his free throws. So the reason why I say Blake Griffin and him are the same is because in Blake Griffin's early career, he wasn't a very good free throw shooter at all. He was a liability as well as Ben Simmons was on the floor, unfortunately. I wasn't rooting for the Hawks. I wanted the Philadelphia 76ers to win. Unfortunately, they didn't win. Danny Green was hurt. He got hurt randomly in game 2, if I'm not mistaken. It was in game 3, he got hurt randomly. The meniscus tear and Joel Embiid's left knee. I forgot when that happened. That happened I forgot. I think that happened against the Wizards, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember, but because they beat the Washington Wizards to advance, and that's when the hack of Ben Simmons was first implemented, just like how that it's been done on Dwight Howard and Shaq throughout their whole entire careers. Intentionally foul them and smack the ball at their hands, try to disrupt them so they can be forced to go to the line and shoot free throws, because seeing as how they're not great free throw shooters, you can obviously put them in a bad spot because they're not a liability to their teammates, so they have to be taken out of the game. So like I said before, yes, Danny Green was hurt. He got hurt randomly. Joel Embiid was dealing with the meniscus tear in his left knee or his right knee. I can't remember which one it was. He was still playing pretty good, but obviously the last couple of games, obviously you can see late in the game. You can see when he was not making any shots in the fourth quarter, or barely a couple in the last game. I think it was game 6, that it was weighing in on him. So obviously that's something that they were dealing with. They had young players on their team that have never been to the playoffs before. Obviously, younger guys who I've never even seen before, I never heard of before, like Maxi, Thibault, and Shake. They're probably in their third year, and I don't think they've been in the playoffs yet. Or if they have, this probably was their second time with the team, or maybe their first time actually. I don't know. It might have been, but just to make sure, yeah, that might be the case. So the Blake Griffin and obviously situation with Ben Simmons being similar as far as their stats. So I'm currently looking at basketballreference.com, and I can see Blake Griffin's stats and his points throughout his whole entire career. Blake Griffin has been in the NBA since 2009, but he didn't in 2010, but he didn't play for that whole entire season because he had a knee injury. And the sad thing about that is that that's when he literally just started playing in the NBA. And unfortunately, that obviously was a bad situation for him because obviously we're looking at him being a young player and him not obviously being able to play based off of that. He was only 20 years old, so he was not able to play for his first year in the NBA. And something that I looked at for Ben Simmons has the exact same thing, a stat that is just as similar to Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin didn't play in the 2009-2010 season because he had a knee issue. He didn't play that whole entire year in his first year in the NBA. And as I see here in Ben Simmons' first year in his career, he did not play for his first year at all. Ben Simmons was not in the 2016 and 2017 season. He did not start at all. He was out the whole entire year. He had a foot injury, so he was age 20. Blake Griffin was the exact same age. He was 20 as well. Yes. So this is why I'm saying, and this is something that I saw when I as soon as I was looking at Ben Simmons play, I said he is what Blake Griffin has become in the future. They're actually the same size. They're almost similar at height. While Blake Griffin is 6'10", he weighs 250 pounds. Ben Simmons is 6'11". He weighs 240 pounds. So Ben Simmons is an inch taller than Blake Griffin, but Blake Griffin weighs 10 pounds more than Ben Simmons. So that's the reason why I said this. And I haven't seen anybody say this, and that's the reason why I said with Lob City and Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin, they never got as far as I believe they only got to the Western Conference Finals once, and that was it. They were usually knocked out in about the first round and then the second round a couple of times, I believe, but they didn't get very far, and that was obviously an issue because Blake Griffin was not a very good free throw shooter, and he didn't have a jump shot. Just like LeBron James throughout his career, early on in his career, he was not a very good free throw shooter, and he was also not a great post-up player. So easy dunks and lobs he was able to get. He was not a jump shooter or a three-point shooter. That's why, obviously, just like Blake Griffin and Ben Simmons, LeBron James also had to deal with this issue too, where he had other teams fouling him intentionally. He was getting hit with fouls, obviously, and they forced him to shoot free throws, and they also forced him to shoot his jump shot. He was dared. This was when he played against the San Antonio Spurs, and I think it was 2007 or 8. I could be wrong, but it was against the San Antonio Spurs, and this is what happened with Greg Popovich as their coach, who still is obviously their longtime coach. He dared LeBron James to shoot his jump shots, and they guarded him very well. But at certain points in time, what happened was he wasn't making them, so they literally just dared him to shoot, and he wasn't making anything. So that favored the Spurs, and they were able to beat LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 2007-2008 playoffs. I believe it was the finals, and because if I'm not mistaken, after this I believe when LeBron James left the Cleveland Cavaliers. So all these players are similar in a way where they were very young, but obviously, unfortunately, throughout their career when they were very young, they were not good jump shooters or free throw shooters as well. So they did not develop a mid-range shot. Blake Griffin has developed his mid-range shot, and he's also shooting center. I would say center, not center mass, but you can say center mass towards the NBA logo, like in the middle. So basically up the court. So he's not shooting corner threes only. He's shooting 3-pointers in the middle of the court. So those are even further than the corner threes because the corner 3-pointer is obviously way less shorter than a regular 3-pointer. He's doing that. That's what Blake Griffin is doing. And so we look at Ben Simmons, we look at Blake Griffin, then their stats and how they, like I said, how they are very similar. Their first year in the NBA when they were rookies, both of them did not play in their first season because they had a injury problem, which is crazy because right out of college or high school, either way, that's what they were dealing with. I think it was college for both of them. That's what they were dealing with. It could be high school for one or the other. I'm not sure, but the 2009 to 2010 season, Blake Griffin did not play at all when he just got signed, and he had his knee injury. This was obviously the Clippers who he played with for most of his career, obviously from 2010 all the way to 2017. But actually, he got signed in 2009, so he was with the Clippers from 2009 to 2017. His first couple of years in his career, his free throw percentage was obviously not very good. So Blake Griffin's free throw percentage is went from 64%, 64.5%, 52%, 66, 71, 72.5, 72, 72.8. So we'll just say 73, 76, 78, 78, 78, actually 75, 75, 78, 74, 78. But that was, it's the, yeah, 74, 71, and 78. So currently he's very good at his free throws currently right now. He's at a 78% for the 2020 to the 2021 season with the Brooklyn Nets. That's what Blake Griffin's doing. So now we're going to look at Ben Simmons' stats, and this is obviously one of the reasons why they lost in a couple of games. I saw that issues that did happen where Tobias Harris was unfortunately getting his shot off in game 2 or 3, I believe, is when he obviously was doing very well. The last couple of games he's been weighing. I think it was game 5 where he did much better. And he picked it up from the last couple of games where he obviously was missing shots. Stephen Curry's brother Seth Curry was doing very well. He did very well in the last game, which was game 6 against the Hawks. And he did very good in this game, but he did better I would say he did a little bit more better in the last game. Unfortunately, yeah, he did it, but in points. But overall total, the Philadelphia 76ers should probably still keep Ben Simmons. I see some people saying they should get him for a point guard who's, even though he's smaller than him, that he'll be able to score. So that'll be a great thing for them. Ben Simmons is a big guy, and he gives extra size to the team because the Philadelphia 76ers are actually a very big team in size, similar to the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm looking at their height right now. So we'll look at the starting lineup. Joel Embiid is 7 feet tall. Seth Curry is 6'2". Danny Green is 6'6". Ben Simmons is 6'11". And I believe, yes, Tobias Harris is 6'8". So you got 3 out of your 5 starters. Danny Green is 6'6". Tobias Harris is 6'8". 4 out of your 5 starters. Tobias Harris is 6'8". Danny Green is 6'6". Joel Embiid is 7 feet. And Ben Simmons is 6'11". So that's 4 out of your 5 starters. The only person that you have that's not that I did mention, but I mentioned him last again right now, is Seth Curry. Seth Curry is 6'2". So you got 4 out of your 5 main starters, your main guys, who are 6'8", 6'6", 7 feet, and 6'11". They're very tall and they're very big. So they're just like the Milwaukee Bucks. They're obviously a huge team in as far as their size goes. So they're obviously a big problem, obviously, for teams that are smaller than them. As we can see, that's obviously something that the Washington Wizards had to deal with, because obviously, even though they had guys who were big, Embiid was weighed more than Robin Lopez and Alex Len and the other Ron Clifford, I forgot his name, who was on the team with him. So the Washington Wizards were able to hang with them barely a little bit, but the Philadelphia 76ers just ran over them, and it obviously went very bad. So that's obviously something that they're dealing with right now. So we can, so that's based off of the stats, the sizes of the Philadelphia 76ers. I wanted to look at Ben Simmons' free throw percentage, though. So currently, his free throw percentage is 50. 2017 to 2018, he was a 56% free throw shooter. In 2018 to 2019, he was a 60% free throw shooter. For the season of 2019 to 2020, he was a 61.3% free throw shooter. For the this current year that we're in, which is 2020 to 2021, he was shooting 61%. So that was very good, obviously, during the regular season. But let's look at what it says for the playoffs. For the playoffs, in this current time that we're in, this current year, his free throw percentage for these playoffs for this season is 33%. Last year, it was 57%, way more better. And in his first year playing with the Philadelphia 76ers and the playoffs, his first year in the playoffs, he was getting 70%. He was shooting 70% from the free throw line. So his points have gone down too. They've gone down actually every year for the playoffs. They jumped up this year, though. In the playoffs for 2019 to 2018, 2019, he scored 14 points. In 2020 to 2021, he scored 12 and a half, which was this current season. So from 2017 to 2018, he went from 16 and a half to drop down to 2018 to 2019. He went to 13.9. So his overall points obviously have gone down as of recent, and that's obviously an issue. And obviously because of this, his points have gone down, his free throw percentage has gone down. It's obviously a problem. I'm currently looking at ESPN's video that they just posted up a couple of minutes ago, and Stephen A. Smith is talking to the Sports Center analyst, and he's explaining to him that he's obviously disappointed in the 76ers, and he's obviously thoroughly disgusted, and he knows that they should have won, and he's saying that they should have won actually overall. And what he's saying is this is the title for the video that ESPN just posted up about 35 to 40 minutes ago. Stephen A. Smith says the 76ers loss, in result, you've got to trade Ben Simmons. So this is what ESPN just put out on their YouTube channel a couple minutes ago. Stephen A. Smith on the 76ers loss. You got to trade Ben Simmons. So that's what he thinks, Stephen A. Smith. I don't think that they should trade Ben Simmons. I think they should still keep him, but his free throw percentage has to increase, and obviously his point production has to go up too. He should at least hopefully have a 22-point average game season next year, or at least 20. But if his free throw percentage does increase, that's obviously great. And if he does develop a free throw, a mid-range shot, that'd be great. This is basically what Blake Griffin had to do as well. Like I said, Blake Griffin's career is what will happen to Ben Simmons if he keeps this up, where he's going to have a lot of struggles. And the injury is obviously something that hurt Blake Griffin more than they've been hurting Ben Simmons, obviously, throughout his career. Ben Simmons was only hurt throughout the last season, his first season in the league. I believe he did get hurt in the playoffs last year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not so sure. And when they got beat when the 76ers lost to the Toronto Raptors, and I believe Kawhi Leonard moved on with the Raptors, and they won the NBA championship a couple years ago. So, and that was obviously a terrible thing to see, obviously, if you're a 76ers fan. So they're one of my favorite teams in the NBA, and I was rooting for them. I was rooting for the Milwaukee Bucks against the Brooklyn. I was rooting for the 76ers against the every team, including the Hawks and the Wizards. And if they were going to face the Bucks, I was going to go with the 76ers. I haven't watched them play in years. I used to watch the 76ers years ago when Doug Collins was their coach, and they had on their team Jrue Holiday, Andre Iguodala, Lou Williams, and Elton Brand, and I forgot who else they had on their team. Those were the main guys, and that was like the 2000. Yeah, Elton Brand, Andre Iguodala, Drew Holiday, and Lou Williams. That was like their main guys on their team around the 2008 and 2009 season, if I'm not mistaken. They were together for a couple of years. They did okay. Didn't get to any, obviously, Eastern Conference Finals or win a championship, but they were a pretty good team together. And unfortunately, that's what happened. It's very sad to see what's going on, obviously, with the Philadelphia 76ers. But Ben Simmons, obviously, is a very good player. I was sad to see him miss those free throws. I wanted them to go in for him. Something that I learned obviously a couple years ago, and that I remember still to obviously the current time that we're in, which is 2021, a couple years ago, 19, I think it was 19, yeah, 19. Kobe Bryant, before he unfortunately passed away and died, he got to he did have the he reached out to Jason Tatum and Ben Simmons, and he reached out his hand as an NBA legend, obviously champion, and obviously role model and mentor to both of them to help them out with their game. Ben Simmons denied Kobe Bryant's help, and Jason Tatum did. As you can see, what we can currently see, obviously, is that Jason Tatum overall is obviously the much more better player and improved player in regards to Ben Simmons when you compare them together. Kobe Bryant talked to Jason Tatum. You can look on YouTube and online and watch the videos. He trained with him a couple of times and talked to him and gave him advice. And because of this, Jason Tatum, who said in his video interview with JJ Redick on JJ Redick's podcast last year, or it was 2019, he said it was a great honor to train with Kobe Bryant. He's always been my favorite player growing up when I was a kid and getting to watch him. Now I get to talk to him and he trained with him and get advice for him. Even though he's retired, he reached out to me and he did a kind thing that he didn't have to do. So because of this, Kobe Bryant reaching out to Ben Simmons and Jason Tatum a couple years ago to help them out with their game and to help them elevate their game, Jason Tatum took Kobe Bryant's hand and he said, I'm willing to learn, and I will be your student, and I will work hard. And he talked to him and obviously helped him out with his game and gave him secrets that obviously Kobe Bryant can only give as an NBA player, Hall of Famer, a legend, an NBA champion, a very obviously dangerous, obviously clutch shooter. And Kobe Bryant was fearless. So when you have somebody like Kobe Bryant or Hakeem Olajuwon or Tim Duncan or Dirk Nowitzki reach out to you and you're a young player and you want to be where they're at, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to reach out back to them and after they extend their hand out to you and say, yeah, I will learn. I want to learn what you have to teach me. And I know a little, I know some stuff, but I need to know more. And that's obviously what we've seen with Jason Tatum and Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons did not want Kobe's help, and he didn't take his help or his advice. But obviously, unfortunately, the case that we see obviously right now is that Ben Simmons obviously is paying for that right now, and unfortunately, it's not looking good for him. We'll see what happens obviously in the future. Unfortunately, it's looking like that. Well, right now, currently, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be dealing with some issues with Ben Simmons, and obviously making sure that he obviously can stick up to obviously for not only for his teammates but himself, but obviously make sure that he's sticking to his contractual agreements. And unfortunately, because of this, they could figure out a way to trade him. I don't know if they're going to. I hope they don't. I hope they keep him and he develops a jump shot, and obviously he increases his free throw percentage obviously in the summer. So something to look forward to obviously. But what we have to say is that the Atlanta Hawks they did play very good. In this game 7, they played good, obviously much better in the previous games. I think in this game they had a little less turnovers than they should have had, but early on in this game, I didn't think that the Hawks were going to win, but obviously coming down to the wire is when obviously things went bad with Gallinari getting a couple of shots off at the end, a dunk on a fast break, and he did hit a three-pointer, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously Trae Young hitting some shots down. I think Trae Young hit one big three-pointer with 2.5 to 3 minutes left, and he obviously threw a couple lobs to Clint Capella down low. Trae Young's obviously been playing great. Trae Young's stats for the past 5-6 games to the 76ers have been obviously very impressive. He's been doing very well, and he's obviously a very good player. He's very dangerous as well. Something that obviously the 76ers obviously tried to overcome, but when they were messing up on not getting shots to fall and obviously turn the ball over, that was the advantage for him. So Trae Young actually today scored 21 points, but the funny thing is that in game 2, he scored 21 points as well, and they lost. The 76ers won against Trae Young and the Hawks. So the irony, for some reason, when you look at his stats, Ben Simmons played him very well. You can tell, obviously, that Ben Simmons is a very good defensive player, which I believe is the reason why he got a couple of awards for Defensive Player of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. Not this year, but I believe last year. But he's very good. His long arms and big size is a problem for anybody who's smaller than him, which are most guards in the NBA, because Ben Simmons is about 6'11". Like I said, he is 6'11" and 240 pounds. So that gives him a big advantage. And because of this, obviously, teams that have guards that are smaller than him, which are most teams, are going to have a problem. But if you're a point guard who is about 6'8", 6'7", or maybe even 6'6", you'll have less of an issue with him. So somebody on their team that obviously had a less of an issue dealing with size with shooting around him or even over him was Kevin Huerter, somebody like him, or Bojan Bogdanovic, obviously, who's much taller than Trae Young, and obviously he's a little bit taller than Kevin Huerter, I think by an inch, if I'm not mistaken. So they obviously had less of an issue to deal with when it came to Ben Simmons. As far as I would say trying to get to their spots, but obviously he could still be a problem in the obviously when it comes to defending them. So that's obviously an issue that they're dealing with, unfortunately. So right now, the Atlanta Hawks are going to be facing the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. That game will be in a couple days on Wednesday. The issue that the Philadelphia 76ers gave the Atlanta Hawks is the exact same issue that the Philadelphia 76ers are going to have. The Milwaukee Bucks are going to give them. The Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers are a little bit different. One team is more offensive efficiently, which is the Atlanta Hawks. The 76ers are good offensively, but I think they're a little bit more better defensively. But obviously I could be wrong. But when it comes to offensively, I would say that the Philadelphia 76ers are good, but I think they're good, but I think their defense is much more better. See, they scored about 114 points per game in the regular season. The Bucks, their stats are a little bit different though. They scored 120. So that's what I kind of figured. The Philadelphia 76ers are good, but the better offensive team overall is the Milwaukee Bucks. But when it comes to defense is different. Defense is obviously different. When it comes to their opponents, the ranking in the NBA for this season, the Philadelphia 76ers rank in the 6th spot for allowing their opponents points per game to be allowed. So that means their defense is obviously very good. They're in the top 10. They're number 6. That means they're only allowing their opponents to get 108 points off, whereas they get 114, 113 and a half. So they obviously have a 6-point spread advantage when it comes to their teammate, their opponents. The Bucks are different. While they are good offensively, defensively is where they struggle. But I wanted to look at the Hawks. What's going on with the Hawks, with their stats? So when it comes to the Hawks, they are 13th in the league when it comes to points per game. So they get 113 and a half points off. And opponents' points per game, they allow their opponents 1100.4. So that's about 1112 points, I would say. But when you compare the two, a big difference is rebounds. When it comes to this is a big key difference. This is two big key differences. One, the Milwaukee Bucks score more points overall than the Atlanta Hawks. They score more. The Atlanta Hawks are 5th in the league when it comes to scoring. And the league this season, they were 5th. And this season in the NBA, the league of the NBA, obviously, the Milwaukee Bucks are 1st. And the rebounds per game this whole entire season, the Milwaukee Bucks are 2nd. They're in 2nd place. They average 48 rebounds per game. For this whole season, they average about rebounds per game. RPG is 48. The Atlanta Hawks, their rebounds, they are 5th. They get 45.6 per game. So that's obviously one key difference that will stand out when it comes to defense purposes. The rebounds, obviously, and getting the ball back after missed shots and obviously off the glass, off the board. The Atlanta Hawks have a disadvantage in that regard. There's 3 key disadvantages that the Atlanta Hawks have when it comes to the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks are bigger, they score more points, and they rebound more. That's a disadvantage to the Atlanta Hawks. They're smaller, they score less points, and they rebound less. Now, the size, it's not the difference, obviously, as much as you would think, but it kind of is. Down low, I'm looking at them right now. The roster. This is the Milwaukee Bucks roster. Giannis is 6'11", and I believe Brook Lopez is 7 feet. Very big, very tall. 282 is the weight that Brook Lopez is. Giannis is 242. Now, I'm going to go to the Atlanta Hawks. I'll go to the roster. Let's look at who they have down low. Clint Capella. He is 6'10". He weighs 240. So Giannis is He is taller than him by an inch. He weighs a couple pounds less, but the advantage is obviously Giannis is quicker. He's quicker, and he obviously is a foot taller than Clint Capella, so that's going to be a problem. They're the same age though, but size difference is obviously going to be an issue. And then I said, okay, well, if Giannis is going to be guarded by Clint Capella, who's guarding Brook Lopez? Bogdanovich can't do it. John Collins could. He's 6'9". He's 235, not Blake Griffin. Brook Lopez is 7 feet. And he weighs 282. So he's got a size advantage in weight and height over John Collins. So I figured I'm going to put Gallinari in. Gallinari is 6'10", 233. Not Blake Griffin. I was talking about Blake Griffin because of their comparison to his comparison in career tragedies in their first year, and obviously free throw percentage and points. That's why I keep saying that. That's a mistake, but I mentioned Blake Griffin. I'll probably mention him again. So going back to the Hawks and the Bucks, how they match up. Gallinari is 6'10". He weighs 233 pounds. Brook Lopez is 7 feet tall. He weighs 282. Big, huge difference in weight and obviously in size. Brook Lopez weighs about 50 pounds more than Gallinari, and he's 2 inches taller than him. Big problem. So Gallinari was never starting. So now you got to put him in. And now he's getting started because the usual starting lineup has Bogdanovich, Clint Capella, John Collins, and obviously, of course, Trae Young and DeAndre Hunter, but he's hurt. So obviously, if I'm not mistaken, Kevin Huerter was taking his place. If I'm not mistaken, Gallinari comes off the bench. So what are the Bucks going? What are the Hawks going to do against the Bucks? Are they going to put Gallinari in the starting lineup and bench Kevin Huerter for size? I don't know, but obviously, looking ahead to the Eastern Conference Finals, that's obviously going to be an issue. And something that we also need to look at too is the point guard position. Jrue Holiday is taller than Trae Young. Jrue Holiday is 6'3". He weighs 203 pounds. Trae Young is 6'1", so that means he is 2 inches shorter. Trae Young is 2 inches shorter than Jrue Holiday, and Trae Young weighs 180. So Jrue Holiday weighs 25 more. He weighs 25 pounds more than Trae Young, and he's 2 inches taller than him. Big, huge problem. Another problem, PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker will most likely get his chance to play against, obviously, of course, Trae Young. They'll probably put him on him a couple times to see how that works. I'm just guessing because they're probably not going to put Chris Middleton on him. They could. I don't know if they will, but they probably will if they get the chance to. PJ Tucker is 6'5". He weighs 145 pounds. Weighs more than Trae Young, at least by 35 pounds. And he is 4 inches taller than Trae Young. He probably will be playing him at some point to harass them, because even though Trae Young is not Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant obviously had the free reign to post up anytime, anywhere against PJ Tucker, but even though that's the case, Kevin Durant had a hard time because he was always harassing him, just like Patrick Beverley. No, he's not smaller. He's not taller than you. He's smaller than you. He's going to be a person who's going to harass you on defense, and it's going to be an issue for you. Once he's smacking the ball at your hand, you trying to post up, he's right behind you. He doesn't care. PJ Tucker is fearless. Obviously, as we can see, Patrick Beverley is fearless as well as defensive players. So that's going to be a problem. So unfortunately, even though the 76ers lost, they have the better advantage overall when it comes to the team to beat the Milwaukee Bucks because of their size. They have the advantage. The unfortunate truth of the matter is the Hawks, while they're good, they're at a disadvantage when it comes to obviously playing against the Milwaukee Bucks. So when it comes to the Hawks, when it comes to the Bucks and the 76ers, the Bucks are the first. They are the Milwaukee Bucks are the second team in the league when it comes to rebounds. So they're in the top second spot. But the Philadelphia 76ers are in the 10th spot. They get 45.1 rebounds per game. They're in the 10th spot as far as rebounds per game, overall team stats in the whole entire league. Still impressive, though, obviously, for the Philadelphia 76ers. But the Milwaukee Bucks have the bigger advantage. They're in the second spot. They get 48 rebounds per game. So that's obviously going to be an issue. We'll see what happens, though. I won't be surprised. I will be surprised to see what lineup changes that the Milwaukee Bucks throw at the Hawks. Only injuries right now currently for the Hawks are Bogdanovich's left knee is sore or his right knee. Not sure which one it is. It's that one. DeAndre Hunter is out. DeAndre Hunter is out, not Kevin Huerter. DeAndre Hunter is out. He's not playing for them, the Atlanta Hawks. He's out right now. Trae Young's left shoulder or his right shoulder, one of his shoulders is injured. As you can see in the last couple of games, he's been putting a heating pad wrap with bandages, gauze. The trainers and staff put that on him when he's sitting down and resting. he told he didn't tell the Atlanta Hawks coach Nate McMillan that he was hurt, but he still played. So that's obviously a issue to deal with. And you got people like Drew Holiday and PJ Tucker going at him. Chris Middleton, they're bigger than him, so it's gonna be a problem. He weighs less, he's smaller, so Trae Young's got that disadvantage. And obviously, with a hurt shoulder, you bumping into these guys, they're gonna be falling to the floor. It's gonna be an issue, but we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, his injury is not as bad as James Harden or Kyrie Irving, who shouldn't have been playing at all in game 6 or 7. James Harden could have hurt himself even further, just like Anthony Davis did. Anthony Davis said, I'm going back out. LeBron, I'm coming. Hey, don't worry. He tells the rest of the team, I'm coming in. He gets hurt again within the first 5 minutes of the game. Anthony Davis has to go sit back out. He doesn't come back the rest of the game. And then he doesn't come back after that, and they lose 4-2. I think they lost in 6 games, if I'm not mistaken. The Phoenix Suns beat the Lakers, and they lost. Yes, it was 6 games. So that's obviously an issue. Like I said, with not just with injuries, with size differences. Milwaukee Bucks are only missing Vincenzo, the shooting guard, 3-point specialist that they have on their team. Everybody else is fine. So advantage goes to Milwaukee for injuries. 3 days rest is obviously something that they're going to be getting. Oh, excuse me. If the game starts on Wednesday, they just won on Saturday. They get Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday off. The Atlanta Hawks just won on Sunday, and they get Monday and Tuesday off, and then that's it. So the Milwaukee Bucks have gotten more rest. So yeah, so it's Sunday. The Atlanta Hawks have tomorrow and Tuesday, and that's it. Game 1 starts on Wednesday. So rest-wise, Milwaukee Bucks. Size advantage, the Milwaukee Bucks. Rebound advantage, the Milwaukee Bucks. Points per game, the Milwaukee Bucks get the advantage. And more rest overall, the Milwaukee Bucks. Less injuries overall, the Milwaukee Bucks. So they're obviously sitting in a very good spot currently right now. They are looking very good. And like I said before, the Atlanta Hawks, while they're very good, they're a young team. And it's something that I heard Trae Young said, and that something that they have a problem, an issue dealing with, is they do not have a very good defensive presence on their team. And because of this, it's going to be an issue for them. And when things get tight, Giannis is quick to the basket. He can block shots. He's fast. Brook Lopez, when he's down low in the paint, he's going to block shots. He's very big. Obviously, they got bigger players as well. Bobby Portis is very big. He's 6'10". PJ Tucker is 6'5". Chris Middleton is 6'7". They got tall guys and very big guys. And down low, that's going to be a very hard problem for the Atlanta Hawks when you can throw guys at obviously like Drew Holiday, and of course, obviously PJ Tucker, who are bigger than obviously Trae Young. You can also put Jeff Teague on him as well. He's 6'3". So that's the issue that they have. Vincenzo is not playing. He is 6'4", but he was playing. He wouldn't be guarding Trae Young anyways. Drew Holiday would, but he's still bigger than Trae Young by 3 inches. He's 6'4". Trae Young is 6'1". So these are the disadvantages and the advantages that the Hawks have and the Milwaukee Bucks have. But I still believe that the games that will be won by the Bucks will be 4. At the least. It'll go to that. So basically, this is what's going to happen. The Bucks are either going to sweep the Hawks or they're going to win in 5, which means the Hawks will get 1 game in Atlanta, most likely. I know a lot of people say, well, how do you figure that? I'm just saying that's what it looks like to me. The Bucks, see, this is the thing. The Atlanta Hawks, they're thinking, obviously now, we're glad that the Sixers are out of the way. You got to deal with somebody that's even bigger than the Sixers, who scores more points, rebounds more, and they got just as bigger guys, maybe even a couple bigger. Actually, you know what? They got bigger. They have got big guys as well. So it's actually about it's a little bit different, though. The starting lineup obviously shows the advantage. because while Ben Simmons is 6'11", actually, you know what? It's the exact same thing. 7 feet tall, 7 foot tall, Joel Embiid, 7 foot tall, Brook Lopez. Giannis is 6'11", Ben Simmons is 6'11". So those two lineups, those two obviously players, obviously, while the positions are different, because Ben Simmons plays point guard, he's a big power forward. His size is obviously an advantage that gives him enough room to play three positions: shooter, not shooting guard, point guard, power forward, and small forward. But power power forward is center and point guard is last. I think they should probably move him over to the power forward position. Let Seth Curry be point guard. Move Danny Green to shooting guard, and keeps Tobias Harris as small forward, and Joel Embiid as obviously the big man who's the center, and we keep it like that. Yeah, that's what I think they should do, switch it around. So we'll see. I don't know. That's what I would think. Ben Simmons becomes the power forward. Him and Tobias Harris basically. Actually, you know what? Him and Tobias Harris. Actually, no. He would switch with Seth Curry, but Seth Curry would not be he would not be a point guard or a shooting guard. It still works out. Like I said, Ben Simmons can play small forward, a power forward. Small forward would be Tobias Harris. Shooting guard would be Danny Green. Point guard would be Seth Curry. And center would be Joel Embiid. That still can work out for the 76ers. So that's what I'm guessing they could possibly do. But we'll see what happens, though. It's very unfortunate, but that's obviously the issue that they're dealing with. The 76ers could let go of Korkmaz, Danny Green, and Dwight Howard, and I think that's probably it for the summer. Those three guys are up for non-restricted free agents, so they can leave if they want to. I think they should sign everybody back. They should keep everybody. Don't let anybody go. Don't fire Doc Rivers. Don't let Ben Simmons go. Just let Ben Simmons and the training staff there and the coordinators and the offensive coaches help him work on his form and his shot, and obviously his free throw percentage, his free throw shooting overall. Don't get rid of him. Keep him. Keep the whole team. Keep Doc Rivers, and just as long as everybody's healthy in the playoffs, postseason, going into the playoffs, they'll be fine. If the 76ers come back next year and have the exact same team, and they are number one again in the East, and they obviously get to the playoffs. Obviously, they'll get to the playoffs. Obviously, anyways, I think they still could get to the Eastern Conference Finals again. This is the thing: if Ben Simmons his free throw percentage goes up by 5% next year, and he's actually a pretty good to decent mid-range shooter, they'll be better off. So that's what I'm hoping for the 76ers. But we'll see. As far as Trae Young goes in the Atlanta Hawks, while they're a good team and they have lots of young players, they've got a mix of veteran players on their team. They have a lack of defensive presence that Trae Young actually explained, and he actually admitted a couple of days ago in the Game 5 press conference, that we have a lack of those guys, but we make differences to get the job done with plays, when the game's close, getting steals, causing turnovers to take place. So that's what obviously is going to happen. So the reason why I said the Bucks wanted this series to go this way is because the Hawks are smaller, less experienced than them with the younger players. Trae Young's small. They have a disadvantage. They have a big advantage over him as far as size. With people they can throw at him, they have a lack of defensive presence. That's something that's going to hurt the Hawks down low, because the Bucks are a better defensive team, and they're also a better offensive team, and they're bigger than them, obviously, when it comes to those specific spots at power forward and center, obviously. Also, the 76ers are much bigger than them. Yeah, so this is what it was. If Brooklyn would have won, they would have wanted the Hawks to win, because it gives them a bigger advantage, obviously, because you're looking at the Hawks. You're like, okay, so you can throw some people on Kevin Garnett, Collins, Kevin Huerter, and whatnot, but those guys are not defensive players. The Philadelphia 76ers were going to be a problem for the Brooklyn Nets. James Harden's hurt. Kyrie Irving's out. and that gives them a big advantage. And who are they going to put on Kevin Durant? Obviously, they're going to put on two people, Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris. Third, if he was healthy, actually, if he wasn't hurt, he was healthy. I have no idea how he got hurt. Danny Green just got hurt out of nowhere. It sucks. Danny Green would be the third option. So there's three people you can put on Kevin Durant for the 76ers. Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Danny Green. And obviously, that's all ranked by size. 6'11", Ben Simmons, 6'8". Yeah, Tobias Harris is 6'8". Danny Green is 6'6", long arms. He is 6'6", but obviously his defense has always been very good, as well as his 3-point shooting. He's 6'6", long arms, obviously smaller than Kevin Durant. Ben Simmons weighs more than Kevin Durant, if I'm not mistaken, and he's obviously the same height as him, but he weighs a little bit more. I think he's got like 30 pounds on him, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I want to look right now. Kevin Durant. So Kevin Durant. Let's go to his stats. Kevin Durant is 6'10" and he weighs 240. So that's his height and weight. Ben Simmons is 6'11" and he weighs. Ben Simmons is 6'11". He weighs 240. So Ben Simmons is an inch taller than Kevin Durant. It's actually a big advantage. He weighs a couple pounds more than him, only 2 pounds. So the weight's not an advantage. The height is, because he's still an inch taller than him. Ben Simmons is big. He's got long arms. And obviously, Kevin Durant's got somebody the exact same size as him guarding him. It's a big issue. Yes, he'll still get his shots off, but unlike what he was dealing with PJ Tucker, Ben Simmons is going to give him less space. PJ Tucker is 6'5", 242, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Just to make sure again. PJ Tucker is 6'5". He weighs 245. Ben Simmons is 6'11". He weighs 240. Obviously, the size is a disadvantage that PJ Tucker has, and versus Ben Simmons is very obviously huge. But Kevin Durant does not want to deal with obviously Ben Simmons guarding him. He's an inch taller than him. So that's going to be a big, huge problem because he can back down and post up on PJ Tucker, Kevin Durant. He couldn't do that with Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons weighs the exact same weight as him, and he's taller than him, an inch taller. So that's a huge problem because he can't push him back a little bit and gain his space. Ben Simmons is a bigger body for him. So Kevin Durant, while he will get his shots off, I think his efficiency probably will be down less overall because Ben Simmons is going to be a much more bigger problem for Kevin Durant because his size, obviously. He's an inch taller than him. It's a big, huge problem. But we look to the Milwaukee Bucks and 76ers. The Milwaukee Bucks wanted the Hawks. The Nets, they also wanted them too. The Nets also wanted the Hawks. Both teams did because they're bigger than them. They can score more than them. And that's obviously two big issues. But obviously the big issue overall for both teams in regards to the Hawks and the Nets, when you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, they get more rebounds than them and they score more than them. So the Bucks have bigger advantages over both teams, the Atlanta Hawks and obviously the Nets. That's why they preferably wanted both of them. But I would say that the Bucks obviously prefer the Hawks because they have less offensive threats. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden are much more of a problem to deal with than Trae Young, obviously, and Bogdanovich and Jason Collins because those guys aren't getting 30 points, 25 points a game like Trae Young is. James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving can get 25, 28 points a game alone, each of them. You're not going to get that with the other people on those teams that they're playing up against. So because of this, obviously, that's an issue. As we can see for the Brooklyn Nets and the Atlanta Hawks, the Milwaukee Bucks have an advantage over both of them. So we're going to see what's happening with that and how they're going to play Trae Young. My best guess is you put Drew Holiday on him, let him become a thorn in his side, and when any switches happen, the Atlanta Hawks are going to have to obviously deal with what PJ Tucker is going to do as far as getting on in front of obviously Trae Young, and sometimes obviously helping double team him with Drew Holiday and the other guards that they have on the team, like Jeff Teague and Brent Forbes and anybody else that they have on the team. So that's obviously going to be an issue for them. Unfortunately, the 76ers lost, but they will be back next year in the Eastern Conference Finals. Hopefully, they can go to the NBA Finals. If by this time next year they have the exact same team, and Ben Simmons is a better free throw shooter, and he's a better he can actually make a mid-range shot, that will give them the advantage, and that will be the big change that will give them a big, huge, obviously, it'll give them a huge boost as far as obviously them becoming more offensive threat. Well, actually, Ben Simmons will become a more offensive threat, and he'll become less of a liability. So that way, no one can can attack him as far as him getting getting fouled, obviously, and having being forced to shoot free throws. The teams playing against him will be less hesitant to do that if he's a better free throw shooter, and also he has developed a mid-range shot. That's what we need to see for Ben Simmons. Hopefully that does happen. Yeah, but we'll see what happens, though. As far as the Clippers and the Suns, I expect the Suns to still get the victory in the end. I think the Clippers are good, but I think that the Suns just have a bigger advantage. It's literally currently looking like Kawhi, Paul George, and Reggie Jackson versus DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, and Devin Booker. And obviously, the one advantage that we can obviously see is Chris Paul, the point guard position, and the center position. Zubac is good, but DeAndre Ayton gets more points, and he's much more efficient overall, and he's obviously a bigger problem. Marcus Morris is not a center, but he can post up and shoot 3-pointers. But he's not. That's what he's supposed to do. He defends though, but when you're looking for block shots, Zubac is the guy down low, so they won't switch Zubac for Marcus Morris, if I'm not mistaken. Markieff, his brother, I forgot what team he plays on. I don't remember, his twin brother. But what I see is that even the Clippers can win this series. I think the Suns might still get the 6-7 game advantage in the end, depending on what happens with Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, the point guard position is a big disadvantage for the Clippers because Chris Paul is way more efficient and much more dangerous player overall when it comes to clutch moments, getting people into their spots, passing the ball, and obviously being a guy who can literally go out there and give you 8 to 10 points in one quarter. Obviously, as we saw in Game 6 against the Lakers, he was against the Nuggets. He hit like 4, 5, 6 mid-range shots in the fourth quarter, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the exact same spot, and he just kept hitting them. He was just literally getting them all those shots in, and that was a problem for the Denver Nuggets and why they lost. That's an advantage. The disadvantage, obviously, for the Los Angeles Clippers in regards to the point guard position, the Suns have the advantage. So we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, like I said, in the center position as well, DeAndre Ayton is overall much more efficient than Zubac. And then you have to say, well, what about DeMarcus Cousins? They can put him in. He'll be physical with him. But DeMarcus Cousins has been hitting a couple of shots here and there, but he hasn't had any huge big breakout games on the Clippers yet in this post-game season. They didn't play him at all in the Mavericks series. He sat out the whole entire series. The team elected to not play him. Well, Tyronn Lue obviously gets the final say as the coach when it comes to the lineup, so we'll see what happens with that. But I still say the Suns have I would say a 10 to 15% advantage over the Los Angeles Clippers. Yes, they can win, obviously, but the issue is obviously going to be if the Clippers can lower their turnovers, can they give Devin Booker a run for his money and make him obviously be forced to take tough shots with Kawhi Leonard or Paul George guarding him. They're taller than him, so that's a problem. and I believe they weigh more than him as well. So that's obviously a bigger issue. So that's obviously what we're looking at with the NBA playoffs. Obviously, as far as the Eastern Conference and what Western Conference Finals, and obviously going into the NBA championship, who's going to win? Obviously, I have no idea. It's up in the air. We'll see what happens with that. But that's basically all I have to say about this. And in regards to the current NBA playoffs right now, going into the NBA Finals, that will happen in a couple weeks soon. We'll see what happens with that. But like I said before, it's unfortunate that the Hawks, excuse me, it's great for the Hawks if you're a Hawks fan that they won. It's unfortunate that the 76ers lost. They were my favorite teams in the NBA: the Pacers, the Bucks, the Sixers. I like the Clippers. I like the Suns. And I like the Lakers too. Not a fan of LeBron James, but I've always been a Lakers fan. Always will be. I had the great pleasure and obviously what's it called? The privilege to see Kobe Bryant and Shaq play in 2003 together at Staples Center against the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference semifinals. It was game 2 or 3 that they lost. I was there at the Staples Center. It was in 2003. That was great. So yeah, that's it. I like the Wizards too, and I think that's about it. I also like the Heat. That's basically it for my favorite teams. Yeah, Pacers, Heat, Bucks, Hawks. Pacers, Heat, 76. Actually, you know what? No, I'm actually not a Heat fan. I'm a Jimmy Butler fan, a Goran Dragic fan. So those couple of players on the Heat, I've always loved watching them play. But overall, teams, the Bucks, the Pacers, the I would say probably the Phoenix Suns, yes, of course, Clippers. But in this with the Suns and the Clippers, I'm going for the Suns. I want to see Chris Paul get his first ring finally. He's been working to get a championship for a very long time, and I'm glad he's finally there to get it. He's not in game 1 because of COVID-19 restrictions, but obviously he's fine. It looks like he was well. He spent the day with his kids for Father's Day, and he will be in game 2 on Tuesday. We're hoping for it, and we don't want to see him sick or hurt and get down because he obviously has been dealing with a shoulder injury, but now him getting sick obviously out of nowhere randomly is crazy because he had a great game in game 6 to help his teammates and the Phoenix Suns go over the hump and get past the Denver Nuggets to go to the Western Conference Finals, which they're currently in. I mean, obviously just beat the Los Angeles Clippers today in game 1 at home, and they have a big advantage because Chris Paul is coming back in game 2 on Tuesday, and they're back at home. This gives them a chance to go up 2-0. The Phoenix Suns will go 2-0 most likely against the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard most likely until game 3 when they're back at home. Hopefully, because if it's game 4, they're down 3-0. That's bad. But if they're down 2-1 and Kawhi Leonard comes back for the game 4, that's obviously a good advantage for them, obviously, because he can help them tie it up, obviously, and take the series to 6 games and obviously possibly even 7. That's basically it. That's all I have to say about the current NBA playoffs and obviously what's been going on with the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. Unfortunately, one of my favorite teams, the 76ers, lost. I wanted them to win. They did not win. Hopefully next year they come back and they're obviously having the same team as far as what we can see with the current players. They keep Doc Rivers, keep Ben Simmons, and then they make sure obviously that they help Ben Simmons develop his jump shot and obviously increase his overall free throw percentage efficiency so that he can obviously become a bigger threat overall to the other teams that they're playing up against. But we'll see what happens with that. Thank you for watching. Anybody who does view this, let me know what you think. What you think about this subject matter. Obviously, did you watch any of these games? Or if you're a 76ers fan, what do you think about what they're going to do next year? You know, I know they've been talking about this past year about trust the process and what they're going to do and how everything's been going as far as the development of the team, building the team from the bottom to the top is what they've done. Kind of like obviously the Golden State Warriors with Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and Stephen Curry, obviously. So we'll see what happens with that. That's basically it. That's what I have to say about this. The games have been fun. They've been very entertaining. And we'll see what happens, obviously, throughout the rest of the, obviously, playoffs, obviously. That's all I have to say. Again, and my name is Laquan Williams. Thank you again for watching, and that's all I have to say about this. subject matter of the Game 7 loss that the Philadelphia 76ers were handed by the Atlanta Hawks at home in Philadelphia, unfortunately, which caused them to be eliminated from the Eastern Conference semifinals in round 2, and they will not be advancing to the conference finals or the NBA finals. But hopefully next year the 76ers will be right back in the same spot, and they win the Eastern Conference semifinals. They can go to the Eastern Conference finals and win, so that they can get their championship to have this year. They can still get it next year. I'm hoping that they do get it. And hopefully Ben Simmons can improve his overall efficiency and his free throw shooting, obviously his percentage, obviously he can. Hopefully he develops a mid range jump shot that can help him obviously become a bigger offensive threat, because he got the size, speed. He's a defensive player. He can pass. He rebounds. All he needs is just to finish the jump shot, and obviously add a jump shot to his repertoire, and obviously increase his overall free throw percentage. And he's obviously a huge threat. That's 5 right there: rebounds, assists, free throws, free throws, assists. I would say probably his passing ability and his shoot, and then obviously a mid-range jump shot. Those 5 things will help him out. He's halfway there. He just needs to increase his free throw percentage and his efficiency overall, and obviously develop a mid-range jump shot that can help him out. Like I said before in this video, Blake Griffin is what will happen to Ben Simmons if he does not develop a jump shot right now. Ben Simmons and Blake Griffin are exactly the same as far as their career paths. In their first year in the league, they actually didn't play when they were signed by their teams that they were on, which were the Los Angeles Clippers, the longest team Blake Griffin's been on, and the team that Ben Simmons is currently on right now, they've been on for 4 years, the Philadelphia 76ers. Both of them had injuries. Blake Griffin had a knee injury. Ben Simmons had a foot injury. And obviously, as we can see when I talked about the stats, their points per game and their free throw percentages have been fluctuating in their career. Currently in Blake Griffin's career, he's shooting the best he's ever had free throws, and he's obviously shooting mid-range jump shots much more better, and 3-point shots as well. Not just corner threes, but also 3-pointers in the middle of the court at the high key, close to almost where the logos are at. Obviously, the NBA logos in the middle of the court. He's shooting up obviously in the middle section, obviously not far back, but obviously very up close, but still very good, because there was a point in time when he was never shooting 3-pointers. But like I said before, that's what's going to happen to Ben Simmons if he does not develop a jump shot and obviously increases overall free throw percentage efficiency. He will be where Blake Griffin is at. He'll be dealing with that issue. People will continue to foul him intentionally. He'll get dunks and lobs and easy layups. He has to obviously get a jump hook shot, and his whole entire repertoire, his to increase his overall efficiency, his offense efficiency, and he also needs to make sure that he develops a mid-range shot, even if it's a hook shot or a post-up shot 10, 12 feet from the basket. Either way will help him out and his teammates, obviously, and that will stop other teams from intentionally fouling him or hacking Simmons, basically, which is obviously going to be great, because when games are close, as we saw today in Game 7 and a couple days ago in Game 6, the teams are going to foul him intentionally to hurt him. The 76ers, when they're up by 15, 20, there's 3 minutes in the game left, it's not going to hurt them. It's actually going to hurt the other team, because if Ben Simmons gets fouled twice, he still gets to make at least 2 out of the 4 free throws, or if he makes all 4 of them, or either way, they're up by 15, he makes only 2 of them. It still helps them out a lot. When games are close in the playoffs, like this game was today, it was a very ugly, dirty game. I feel like I was watching the Pacers and the Memphis Grizzlies play in 2010 and 9, 2009, 10, or 11, around that time, with Roy Hibbert and Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph, where those games were they were playing against people, and their defense was so good, they were holding their opponents to 89, 90, 91 points. The Grizzlies would hold their opponents like 90 points per game. When Mike Conley was on the team with Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol, it was very, very bad for the other teams that they were playing, because they were so big and their defense was very good. Kind of like the Indiana Pacers, they were hurting people down low with Paul George, David West, George Hill, and Roy Hibbert. Obviously, they're hurting people. So because of this, and Lance Stevenson, because of this, obviously that's what led them to be a very good defensive team, and they hurt all these other teams that obviously that they were dealing with because they were very big and obviously very physical playing their defense, blocking shots. So down low, they were hurting other teams because they were giving them issues as far as size goes, and obviously, of course, they were playing defense so good they were hurting the other teams. Their teams were exhausted. So you're holding your opponents to only 90 points per game. That means you're going at them. Your defense is so good that you're basically exhausting them, so they have to exert more energy on the offensive end, which forces them to make tough shots, take tough shots, and to also take tough contested shots, which hurts them obviously overall. But that's basically all I have to say about that. Thanks again for watching. Anybody who does see this, and that's all I have to say about this again. The end result, the 76ers lost. They're out of the playoffs. Next year, hopefully they'll be back in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Obviously, they can get to the Eastern Conference finals, and also hopefully the NBA finals. What happens with that? Hopefully Ben Simmons still stays. They don't buy him out of his contract and trade him to their team. And hopefully Doc Rivers is still the coach and he's not fired. I'm hoping that does happen, hopefully, so they can both stay. And I think Ben Simmons and Doc Rivers together is actually good. I hope they don't let them go, but I think they can still get better. If they have to do a couple more people on the team, I don't know if they have to, if they need to. I don't know what trades they'll possibly make. But it's obviously something we'll have to be looking out for, and we'll have to wait to see. But that's all I have to say about this subject matter again. Thank you again for watching, and that's it. Thank you. Bye. Thank you.